welcome to the Revere Senior News from Revere, Massachusetts, and we have 5 special guests here, including myself. I'm going to introduce them from left to right. Mr. Nick Jacoby, who's head of the Revere Elder Affairs Council. Revere, welcome, Nick.
Thank you. Thank
Paul
you.
Amaral, who's a Korean veteran, Vietnam veteran, excuse me, from
Spray Avenue, Revere.
From Spray Avenue, Revere. Thank you, Paul. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And
Pleased to be here.
And a community veteran, also of the Elder Affairs, the Executive Director, Steve Fielding. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And my friend Charlie Mackin, a Korea and World War II veteran. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you.
And Morris from the Revere Senior. Thank you all for coming so far. So before we start, we have important news, and Mr. Fielding is going to let your people know out there what's about.
Okay, as many of you know, we were able, through our state delegation and the mayoral office, able to secure some monies to repair and renovate our senior center roof, the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center roof. So what I'd like to do is just read this communication so that I can inform people out in the community what's happening. The Revere Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center roof will be undergoing a complete renovation that will result in a brand new roof. The roof work will begin the first week of December, commencing with Monday, November 30th, and continue through mid to late January. A specific end date is undetermined at this time. This roof work means that the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center will be closed to seniors and the general public due to safety and facility issues. Effective Monday, November 30th, the Senior Center will be relocating to another building. I will inform you of this temporary location once the site is confirmed and all the logistics are finalized. We will only be able to offer a modified meals program. The December menu, which some of you have already seen, has gone to the printer, but that will have to be altered. The January menu is not created yet as of today. However, it will be reviewed for any modifications that might happen. Please be aware that during this time, seniors should know that the staff and I will do our best to provide and ensure you with as much information as possible. We will continue the shuttle van service, as usual, to and from this new temporary location, as well as to and from outside appointments. All the programs, activities, and services will be suspended until we return to the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center. And again, a modified meals program and shuttle service will be available. Updates, notifications, and information will be available through Revere TV, the Revere Journal, the Revere Advocate, the upcoming Senior Power January newsletter for seniors, the Elder Affairs Department website, which is on www.revere.org, and through word of mouth. This roof work is a result of the current mayoral administration and our state delegation securing special legislation which allowed funds to become available and improve the quality of life in our senior center at the Revere Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center. The only thing that I want to add to this is that those people who take the health and the exercise programs with us now have been instructed and have been notified and talked to personally that other senior centers in the Revere surrounding communities like Winthrop, Saugus, Everett, Malden, Chelsea are free to go to those senior centers and take the same courses and exercise from the very same instructors that we have. So I don't want people to feel that they are going to be totally out of the loop in regard to health and exercise.
Right.
Morris?
Thank you, Steve. Before we continue, I have a gentleman on my left. His name is Charles Mackin. He works at the Senior Center. First of all, Charles, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. He writes poems, and beautiful poems, and you went down with us to Bourne National Cemetery. And on the bus, you read a poem, and everyone there wanted you to read it on TV so the people in the city of Revere and the whole country would listen to us. So go ahead, Charlie.
The world was my oyster. I thought I had it all. I had youth. I was carefree. I wanted part of this world. I paid no attention to time as I watched it come and go. Time I thought was forever. I could put on hold. Then I looked in a mirror and I witnessed a tired, aging face. My head of black curly hair was now thin and gray. And how I used to run and walk, I'm now helped with a cane. My body now downgraded, once had muscle and shape. Everything I had was slowly taken away. As if I woke up in a coma, I see I have aged. Where did my youth go? When did it escape? I'm now alone in the world as my life slowly slips away. Time that was my friend is now my enemy. It won't extend or wait. The world that was my oyster, what the world gave me, it also took away.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
You did a beautiful job. Thank you.
Nice job.
Wonderful, man.
Great job.
Nice job.
And if you know another one later on, would you read another one for us when you get a chance, if you have an extra one hidden somewhere?
Yes, I will.
We'd love to have you. Steve, you know, as you know, you and I both do the show together. We're both hosts on this show here. But you also have things coming up at the Revere Senior Center, or things you would like to see coming up in the future. Give us a little...
Well, what I would like to see in the future when we come back to this new revamped senior center in Revere is to continue to expand the programs and services. I've got about 5 or 6 people who have already inquired about bringing new programs to the senior center. You know, in the last 2 months we've added 4 new programs, and I've publicized that quite a bit, and I hope to even expand that more. So I'm
Can you
looking
tell
forward
us
to
what
it.
they are, if I may ask you?
Well, I know that there's been major interest in our current program, which is yoga and meditation. There's also a different segment of that, which is called yoga dance. I don't know much about that, but I'm in discussions with an instructor that would like to bring that to the table. I do want to make a plug for one of our current programs. We had a huge demand for line dancing, and we opened that up with a new teacher, probably in the middle of the summer. And it took off like gangbusters, but because of reasons I'm not sure of, it slowly tapered off and we lost a lot of participants. Realizing that it may have been the time frame on a Monday afternoon, we changed it to Wednesday morning between 11 and 12, and it's slowly picked up. So I also learned that that Monday class that we had was in conflict with another senior center that had line dancing, which is Everett. So all those folks in Everett, you can now come to Revere and do your line dancing on Wednesdays and spread the word, because the teacher is fabulous. Her name is Emily Brenner, and I really like to see this become a really viable program. Like I said, there was a major demand for it, and for whatever reason, it hasn't taken off to what I would expect, you know.
Right. Thank you, Steve. Now, we had one veteran here. I'm going to the second one there. Paul Amaro, thank you for your service. For the people that don't know, you were a captain in the Army during the Korean War?
Vietnam.
Vietnam War. I don't know why Nikki confused me
sorry.
with the Korean War, but thank you for your service. You're going to be doing something for our senior center, so let us know about it.
Well, basically, it all comes from this Revere TV, because I was involved with doing another show called Outsider Art, which I guess you can actually look at, and it's on YouTube.
Cable? Yep.
You know, and I guess if you put Andre Norris's name in YouTube, you'll actually see this Outsider Art. So the idea that we came up with between 3 of us, I guess, talking about the Revere Senior Center, wouldn't it be nice if we had a situation where, say, the equipment goes to the senior center, we have a lot of veterans in there, and we have a lot of just seniors that would like to talk and tell us their story. And I think that's the key to what we want, because you don't have to be a veteran to talk on this. It's anybody that participates, you know, on some kind of a schedule, you know, there quite a bit, and we'll just pick people at random, and we'll go ahead and we'll interview them, and then we'll go through the Revere TV, and they edit out everything, and then once it's a presentable thing, it'll get up there on YouTube. So
And they'll show it on the Revere TV news?
and it'll be on the
Good.
the
That's
website.
something's going to be added to our next senior news show.
Well, I kind of think that that's probably what's going to go with this. That's what we're going to do, because
That's good.
what's happening is happening right now, but we're talking about the portable equipment that we can actually, and this will probably be delayed until after he's talking. I didn't know that things were going to shut down. I learned that myself here because I don't get there often.
A lot of people in the city of Revere didn't know it, and they're going to learn it right here on this show that we're going to be shutting down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then I would assume that we're talking after we get the new roof and everything gets back, whatever, you know,
To normal,
get
right?
back to whatever normal is. You know, personally, I think normal is a position on the washing machine. It's got nothing to do with me.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm not sure about the senior center, but when things get back as we hope they will, then that would be the time to start a show like that. And I think it'll be well received by the people that are looking at it and even the people that are participating.
Right.
You know, and
That would be great.
it's a great thing to have people, everybody has a story. So this is just a good way to get it out there.
Right.
That's it.
I want to go back to you, Steve. I would like you to tell the people, since we're going to be closed, especially we talked about where you might be opening up a place where we can go. Tell us a little about the senior shuttle so the people out there will know if they got a call, what they're going to call, the same number?
Yeah, as it stands right now, we're in the middle of putting a plan together. Well, we are in the middle of putting a plan together where hopefully it will not affect what the procedure is right now. As it stands right now, the senior shuttle is available every day. We have one shuttle running on Monday and Friday and two senior shuttles running on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I don't expect major changes. I think that people will be very happy at this location if it's the one I'm thinking about. And I want people to realize too that even if you didn't take the senior shuttle, there should be ample parking to where I expect us to go. And like I said earlier, we will have the meals program. There's two most important things for seniors, okay? One is the meals and also a socialization, community activity type thing. The other is transportation. Those are the 1, 2, okay? 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call it. The other stuff is secondary. But since we're talking about other stuff and I'm segueing into that, we had a great Thanksgiving dinner last night. And Revere TV has been wonderful in partnering with us to televise and tape these shows. And I know that they were there last night. Bob Dunbar was there last night. And if you are a senior out there and you want to see what the Senior Center is all about, all you have to do is catch that show, our Thanksgiving dinner show. We had a singer named Jimmy Salona.
Right.
He was fantastic. We had 85 people for lunch that day and 102 people for dinner. It's an incredible thing. We had, now this is what the Senior Center is all about. We had Sabir of the Good Diner provide the turkey and the mashed potatoes. He donated that for the third year in a row.
Thank you, Sophia.
Now, okay. Now we have some kitchen shortage help. Some of our kitchen help are a little bit under the weather. Our staff jumped in there. Okay. So we had Mary Ann Moore and Salvi Coriali. They actually made homemade stuffing,
Yep.
which was unbelievable. Marisa Coriali made all the vegetables.
Delicious.
It was great. I have to recognize the First Congressional Church because we had 3 huge chocolate cakes and we cut them up and that was the dessert, okay? And we had just a wonderful array of raffles or drawings from a lot of donated people, and there'd be too many to mention. But if you really want to know what our Senior Center is about, you'll see those happy faces, you'll see the crowd enjoying themselves, and Nikki was there, and Chuck, and Morris, and you can see it on TV, Paul. It was just a great night, and that's what we're all about, bringing happiness to seniors.
I'd like to ask you one question. What was Jimmy's last name?
Salona.
Salona. I happened to look him up. I'm going to get to you, Nick, in a minute, but Nikki and I got together this morning and we looked up Jimmy Salona on YouTube, was it?
Yes.
And he is on YouTube, and we watched him do the act. So for the people that didn't see him at the Senior Center, look him up on YouTube. His name is Jimmy Salona, and it's spelled with a C-E.
L-O-N-A.
Go ahead, spell it.
C-E-L-O-N-A.
Right, and he does a terrific job. And by the way, Steve, thank you for bringing him down to our Senior Center. The people loved him. They're still talking about him.
Yep.
Right. Nikki, you are also a veteran of the Korean War.
Correct.
I finally got it right. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your service, buddy.
Oh, you're welcome. You're
Okay, you are also the president on the Council of Elder Affairs. Give us a little history and what would you like to see the senior do to bring more people in. So what do you take it
Okay.
away?
Talking about elder affairs, I happen to be the baby of 12 children in my family. And out of 12, there's 3 of us left. But it really, you know, I have it here. I'm so lucky to be the baby of 12 children. But talking about elder affairs, I'm only 83 years old, but I hope to be getting older and older. And I happen to be lucky enough to be involved with elder affairs, and it's such a good thing for the citizens of Revere, and especially the older people of Revere. There's so much there that they can do, and we do have somebody, Steve, who happens to be in charge. He does such a good job. He really does. He's for the elderly people. We're blessed to have a person like him. But not only elder affairs, I also bowl, and Steve happens to be in charge of that on Wednesdays. We bowl in Lynn, but we are involved with Steve, and that's so important. And the Thursday group, which happens to be bocce, and bocce is so good. And guess what? My team happens to be #1 right now.
Is that #1 in Revere or #1 in Massachusetts?
It happens to be at the at the senior center.
Okay, just wanted to
But
know.
we're very lucky. But we feel bad that we're going to be held off for a little while. But
Nick, go ahead, excuse
that's
me.
okay. That's okay.
I got to ask you. I know we wanted to bring Santa Claus down here, folks, but he's so busy making presents for the kids and everything. But you are a friend of his.
Yes.
Tell us a little about Santa.
Oh, Santa is such a great guy, honest. I happen to be blessed to know him so well.
Thank you.
Yes, and it's because of Morris that I do know him so well.
How did you meet him through me? I don't even remember. I guess
Well,
I am getting old.
you introduced me to him.
Mr.
Really?
Bergstrom.
Yeah, I was lucky. I was lucky to get to know him. But anyway, he isn't here today. But he probably could have been. Right, yes, he probably could have been here today. But as a result, I'm here to take his place, just temporarily, you know.
So we can expect good things from you for the senior center this coming year?
Oh, absolutely.
Such as, let's hear it.
Oh, things that we can do? Well,
What would you like to see Santa do?
that's a good question. I really can't answer that right now.
I can give you a
Oh,
list.
thank you.
Go ahead.
All right, yes.
I can give you a list. Well, #1, we'd love a new senior center, a 1-level senior center. We have a major project going on, but we have a lot of things that need to be addressed. The building is very old. Things break down every day. This week we had the elevator breakdown. We have the grease trap problem in the kitchen. We have some water damage unrelated to the roof. We have to have the building bricks pointed again. I mean, the driveway needs to be done. The parking lot needs to be done. I don't want to be here giving you all these things because I'll never go home. There's just an endless list. So Santa can ever give us a new senior center or make some wonderful contractor decide that he wants to provide that for us, that would be
Okay.
great. you
I
know.
can definitely talk to him
Yeah.
about it.
Right,
And,
and I hope the new mayor is listening to this when he gets in office, whoever it may be, that he does what Steve just mentioned on there. So I hope, Mayor, take care of our senior center.
that is important.
Very important.
Very,
on that.
very important.
I look forward to the senior center, and you know, I was listening to a program on TV, and they said that people that get out of the house and do go to a senior center or commute with other people live a lot longer than sitting home by themselves, and that's a true fact.
You are right.
Can I just add one other thing? You and I talk about this all the time, and I say this to seniors who come to the senior center. I can be a total advocate for the seniors. The wonderful staff that works with me, they're all fantastic people. We are passionately dedicated to seniors. We wanted to make it a safe, fun, positive environment, welcoming environment. But it takes seniors who come there to help spread the word. You know that.
Definitely.
And they are just as responsible as we are to make sure that they reach out to people. That's part of what Nick is doing with the Council on Elder Affairs.
Yes.
I gave them a challenge in January to bring, we have 12 people on the committee. I said, if you each brought in 5 people by the end of the year, that's 60 people that we didn't have the year before. And I say that to other seniors that come there that might be watching this show. If you can bring one person there, we had 100 people last night for dinner. What did I say,
Definitely,
103?
yep.
Imagine if every one of them brought one guest. That's
Yeah.
200 people. You're doubling it in one night. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
Yes.
And that would be a wonderful thing. We have to be our own advocates to bring people to the senior center.
Right, now, you know, we're all seniors here.
I am too, believe
Oh,
it or
you
not.
are?
I am,
So we are all seniors now here.
unfortunately.
And I'm going to go by rank. Now, you were a captain in the Army. Now, I mean, you're not going to pull rank here, I hope, but
No,
you were
no,
a
no.
captain.
I
in
told
the
you I'm
Army.
the rankest one here, so
You are.
you
Tell us
understand.
a little about the history of your service, Paul, because you are a real hero to all of us.
Well-
and we're going to get this right. You're a veteran of the Vietnam War.
Right, but in actuality, as I explained the last time I was on your show, I actually started back in 1960. I graduated from Northeastern ROTC in 1959, and I got a commission. So that's what, I was a second lieutenant. So in 1960, I went in the Army, and I ended up at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and I spent 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days in the military. Wow. And you say, well, how come I know that? Well, I was extended involuntarily, I might add, with the Bay of Pigs. You might have remembered that little debacle we had with the southern,
Right.
South
Yep.
of the
When
United
Castro
States.
was in charge.
Yes. So anyway, what happened was that was my first time, and they wanted me to stay in, and I have a very poor excuse why I didn't. For some reason at that time, I figured if I stayed in, I'm going to end up going right over to Korea. Now that was a mistake because I could have stayed in, I could have stayed right there, I could have gone somewhere else, but I opted to get out. Now I had my first of 5 kids. In fact, my oldest daughter was born at Fort Huachuca. Wow. So basically, we came back to Dorchester, where I grew up and where I lived, and we lived there, and we had 4 more children. So at the time, I ended up in the reserves because I had an 8-year obligation. So I did 2 years on active duty, and then I had 6 more years of reserve duty. So I ended up in a reserve unit, and I was I was on the American Legion Parkway. There was an armory there, and I trained right there again. And then I ended up going from there to the Army base, which is now Fan Pier. But at the time that I was there, it was the Boston Army base. And what happened was I was in a maintenance battalion that was activated for Vietnam right out of the Army base. It was the 513th Maintenance Battalion. And I found out about it because I worked for Raytheon North Dighton, and the guy says, "Hey, Paul, you've been activated." I said, "What are you talking about?" But by golly, he was right. He heard it on the radio, and the whole unit was activated. So there I found myself with a uniform again, and we went to Fort Meade, Maryland. And I was in transportation because I had the meal tickets for the men, and we sent trucks down there by convoy, and then we had the people going up down there by train. So when I got to Fort Meade, I had to go to transportation to turn in all the documentation, and the unit was going to Vietnam. So anyway, I told them, they didn't even believe it, but that's what happened. The unit did. But there is a thing known as the Table of Organization and Equipment. It's called the TO&E, and by law, they had to fill up every slot in that unit had to be filled before they went to Vietnam. The senior captain, who actually at the time was me, but I was Signal Corps. Well, they called for an ordnance officer. And the colonel said, "Well, we're going to change your branch." And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm a Signal Corps. My MOS is electrical engineer. I'm going to stay as an electrical engineer. I'm going to stay in the Signal Corps." So they pulled me out, and I went to a provisional battalion right there at Fort Meade. The whole unit went to Vietnam, and so did I later on, but I went as an individual. So in 1968, right after the Tet, I show up in Vietnam. So I was only there for 7 months, but I was there long enough to be able to be in the VFW and all of that. But I was happy. I got in and I got out, and I thought I had all my fingers and all my toes. Turns out, because of Agent Orange, I end up being 100% disabled, and And that brings me to where we are now. But that's my story.
Thank you again for your service. Steve, tell us how you first got started with the Senior Center, with your education, where you went to school.
Well, I went to school, I went to high school in East Boston. I went to Savio High School. And then I ended up going to Suffolk University, and my major is journalism and public relations. And prior to coming to the Senior Center, I spent 36 years in the private sector
Wow.
as a director of marketing or communications manager, both on the corporate side and on the agency side. I've worked for big companies like Abbott Laboratories, their MediSense division. I've worked for several banks like Fleet Bank and Bank of America. I've worked for Blue Cross Blue Shield, all within the communications industry. And what I mean by that means copywriting, advertising, public relations, web design, trade show management, and direct mail. So that was my experience coming to the Senior Center. How I ended up at the Senior Center is I knew Mayor Rizzo for quite a while. And during his initial campaign, I mentioned to him that if you ever had an opening in your administration that maybe could fit with my background, I'd love to be part of it. And I think he was in for a year and a half when Mr. Morelli decided he was going to retire. And at that point, I was contacted and asked if I was still interested in becoming part of that administration, current administration. And it's been a joyride ever since. I love working with seniors. I really have put my heart and soul, as well as the staff has as well. And you know, I think we've turned it around, and we've really changed the entire culture. We've brought new programs, and we've become embedded in the community through different organizations like the Revere Chamber of Commerce. We have an iPad program coming up in January that's going to be bringing in intergenerational learning between high school students and seniors. And I think that you know, the whole culture and the positive welcoming feeling has been brought right into the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center.
That's good. You know, and another thing I'd like to mention, if you could expand on it and do me a favor. People don't know that. We have a lady there by the name of Lois Diamond, and she
That's
does
right.
a fabulous job, not only with the flea market and with the exercises, but she also does computer
Right.
teach.
Yeah, Lois has been at the Senior Center, I believe this is her 16th year. She's a wonderful lady, as you mentioned. A lot of people in the community know her. And she does teach, one of the many things that she does as program coordinator is teach a computer class. And it's a very basic computer class because a lot of seniors are new or not familiar with the internet. So, or even just a regular desktop computer. So when I say a very simple, basic class, I mean everything from being able to turn on the computer, using
Look at me, it took me 30 years to learn, okay?
Yep.
30 years.
Yeah, using a mouse, being able to, you know, maneuver through the internet using Google to look up different things,
Right.
and doing some research, finding music as you do, and just using it in everyday experiences, you know, and relating it to what they would like to do.
I have to say this, I mean, for the people who do live alone, and I know there are a lot of people in Revere, if they get a computer and learn how to work it, they're really never alone because you can get the news, the music, anything you want. You can even talk to it,
Right.
and it will help you out. If you need cooking and you don't know how to cook, you ask Google. Google will tell you how to cook.
Can I just make a statement?
You could make as many as you want.
I have a gentleman sitting next to me right here, Chuck Mackin. Now he's in his 90s, early 90s. He's in his 91st year. And I don't mean to embarrass him, but at his age, he works at the Senior Center. He's one of our maintenance workers. And he does a wonderful job. I mean, he works so hard, and he will do anything that you ask him to do. And he's great with the people. Not only does he do his job, but he socializes with the people. He makes sure their needs are, taken care of as well. And it's a great thing to have him on the staff. And to see a man at this age, you know, he's fortunate he has his health. That's a good
Yep.
thing, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, he doesn't have to do or probably work as hard as he does. You know, he could just come there and socialize and be with everybody, which he is. But he empties the baskets. He helps in the kitchen. He carries the trays. He cleans up spills. He just does everything for us. So I'm very fortunate to have a guy like this.
And I'm fortunate to have him as a friend, so thank you.
I want to read one more poem.
You can, yep. I was going to get to your poem, but before you do, give us a little about your service first, and then read as many poems as you wish.
Well, I enlisted in the Navy in March of 1943. I left boot camp in June, was shipped to Port Unimi, California, and I was in the Navy. They threw a Marine outfit at me, a helmet, the rifle, everything. The day before 4th of July of 1943, we walked down and took off for the South Pacific. Landed in New Caledonia, which we mobilized together. I was attached to called a radar mobile unit, which is a warning system for all the fighting and thing going around. So we went to Guadalcanal, and from there we practiced unloading and everything. And then November the 1st, 1943, we took off and hit the invasion of Bougainville on the South Pacific. And I had a friend alongside of me, Dutchie. They shelled us from the hills, and poor Dutchie got a piece of shrapnel down below, and that was it.
Oh.
I never seen a kid cry so much and ask for his mother. And this kid was 18, 19 years old.
Oh.
So that was that. Then I got back to the States, and I got aboard a salvage vessel, and we were going after picking up ships that are in distress and pilots that were shot down. And then from there, my enlistment was up. I shipped over. Then I came home. I went out aboard a cruiser and aboard a aircraft carrier. So I fairly well kept my time. Then I got out, and the Korean War started. And so I could call back the Korean War. But I was lucky. I was sent to, with experience, I was sent to Virginia on amphibious training and repair and all that stuff. And then I did 2 years, and I got out. But we were talking about before about the elderly, how much they're alone. And I watched a lot of them working for them, and I wrote a poem, "Listen, my daughter, listen, my son. My world is coming to a close. Your world has just begun. The road that you traveled, I already traveled on. Where I am now, you will someday be, but I'll be gone. Listen, my daughter, listen, my son. I did for you what needed to be done. I fed you, I clothed you, I gave you a bed. Everything there was, it was hard work and sweat. Listen, my daughter, listen, my son. Where are you when I'm alone and I need someone? My phone never rings, my door there's never a knock. Is it that you don't care, or have you forgot? Listen, my daughter, listen, my son. The world you face is a hostile and loveless one. Now you got daughters, you got sons. I hope someone's there for you. For me, there was no one. So I was just hoping I'd hit some of these people and realize they got a lot of these, their fathers and mothers are alone, and
It's a good one.
It is a good one.
Excellent job,
Yeah.
Chucky.
Very
Chucky,
good.
do you have another one later on if we need it? Thank you, first of all, for reading the poem. That's beautiful and sad.
It was excellent, but you know, the poem touches home because, you know, in this job I'm doing things that I never did before. And you probably don't all realize this, but at least 2 or 3 times a week I talk to adult children of seniors that come to our senior center. And they really don't connect with their mothers and fathers that come.
That's true.
It's very sad because when I say, oh, this person needs some help with this, or she fell down, or, you know, she's being forgetful, I think that maybe you have to recognize that your mother has dementia. And I've been trained in that since I've been there. And there's a denial, or they don't want to accept it, or it's hard for them to accept. So these are things that I deal with on the inside of my office that relate to what your poem is all about. But on the other hand, thank God we do have the senior center. It is a focal point of everyday living for most of our seniors, and you guys know that as well as anybody.
Right? Thank you, Steve. Thank you too, Chucky, for what you did again. Now, I want to get back to Santa's help out there, and I hope you're not mad at me or at the senior center, okay? Because before we go into your military career. You was also a teacher of one of the schools in Revere. And as you know, we have the best schools in the country in the city of Revere, and I can safely say that because Samsung, and I want to thank Samsung for I think it's the Chromebook. That beautiful Chromebook you made out there, Samsung, where people can talk, except the one I got doesn't understand me because of my Brooklyn accent, but that's beside the point. But I want you to tell us about your teaching career and then your military career.
Okay. When I graduated from, actually, I was going to say Boston College. It wasn't Boston College.
But close to
No.
it, though, Nick.
No, right. No,
Boston-
actually,
Boston
Boston
State.
Technical High School.
Oh,
High school, because I was living in the South End at the time, and that's where I was born, right in the South End, right across from the Boston City Hospital, across the street from the hospital, right in the house. And like I say, I was the baby of 12 children. But getting back to myself, when I graduated from college, I went to Boston University for my master's degree. And from Boston University, I went into the U.S. Army. And that's when I went to Korea. When I got out of Korea after 2 years, and it was a bad time of the year, 1954. And I was so lucky. I happened to be, I could have been an officer like you were, but I said I only wanted to put in 2 years, so I ended up as a private and, well, as a sergeant later on. But I put my 2 years in Korea and came out, and I got my first job teaching at the Paul Revere School in Revere. And I was engaged at the time, and I happened to meet another teacher at the Paul Revere who was very, very nice, and I happened to be married to her now for 58 years.
Wow.
So I am blessed. Somebody is definitely watching over me. But after my time in Revere, I only spent 4 years in Revere. I went into the Boston schools, and I ended up at the John F. Kennedy Elementary School in Jamaica Plain as an assistant principal. The toughest job in the world, believe me. It was so hard. I'd rather teach anytime than be an assistant principal because you always had this problem or that problem. And can I tell you one little
Sure,
problem?
tell us all of them. We'd love to hear them, Nick.
At the Paul Revere School, excuse me, at the John F. Kennedy School, excuse me, in Jamaica Plain, it happens to be grades kindergarten 1, 2, up to grade 6. In the first grade, and a lot of Spanish people, well, I had given out the class pictures, and I was walking back to the office near the end of the day, and I'm walking back to the office, and right behind me is the first grade Spanish teacher with the class picture in her hand. She has the picture, and she says, "Mr. Giacobi, look at this picture." I looked at the picture, it looked all right to me, but there in the back row is little Jose with his finger up.
Maybe he was learning how to count.
Well, I was hoping that, but she's right behind me, his teacher, and she says, "What are you going to do about it?" So I said, "Okay, what would you like me to do about it?" "Well, you better come down to the room." So I go down to her classroom, and she has an aide. So the door was closed, the aide opens the door, and I walk in, and there in the back of the room is little Jose crying. He's crying. I haven't gone near him, okay? But she's right, the teacher is right behind me. So I know I have to do something. So I go over to Jose. I take Jose out of his seat, put him on my lap. This is years ago.
You'd be
All
going
right.
to jail
Amen.
today for that.
Okay, yes, okay? And, oh, is he crying? But the teacher's very happy, okay? It's the end of the day, so I go back to the office, and all the children leave. The first thing the next morning, I'm a morning person. I'm in the office. His mother and father come in. Jose's mother and father. Guess what? They couldn't thank me enough for what I did.
Wow.
They couldn't thank me enough for what I did. Today, I'd probably be in a lot of trouble. And he has since graduated from college and has reminded me of everything. And we've been in contact. But he's done so well after that. And I'm not blaming myself for it, but I hope I did help him.
Yeah,
You know.
of course, of course.
But
Terrific.
Yes.
Thanks, Nick. That's I never heard that story
Yes.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
yes, yes.
I'm going to be a little brief about myself because I wanted to hear you people tell your stories. I happen to be a World War II veteran, only because President Truman made December the 31st, 1946, the end of the official war of World War II. I tried to get in at 16. They wouldn't let me. I did get in at 17 with a little bit over 17. My commanding officer was a captain from New York, by the way. His name was Captain Allegro. And he took a liking to me because I was a young kid and he was in his 40s. So, you know, he treated me like a son over there. Even though I would have been court-martialed by some others, he never did that to me. He always treated me nice. And I know he's not around anymore, but I want to thank him on there. I happen to speak German because my father came from Germany. So they put me into do the talking as an interpreter, to interrogator. The Germans would call me the kleiner Verräter, which in German means the little traitor. They thought I was one of them, so they always thought I was a little traitor, but I wasn't. Like I said, my commanding officer was Lucius E. Clay. I was there for 18 months. I went home on furlough and I was discharged. And I wanted to go back into the Army, but what happened was the State Department grabbed a hold of me to go to Frankfurt, Germany to work in the IG Farben building. For the people that know IG Farben out there, they were the ones that made the Cyclone B gas that was used to kill the people in the concentration camps or the gas chambers. That was the IG Farben company. And I was there for about another year and a half. So I spent together 3 years over there, and then I got discharged from Fort Dix. That's where I took my training out of Trenton, New Jersey. I don't know if you people are familiar with
Oh,
Trenton,
yes.
New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
where Fort Dix was
Yeah,
there.
that's where my brother-in-law went to,
Right.
Fort Dix.
Steve, we still got about 17 minutes, but before we get near the end of the show, I'd like you to spend a little time to talk about what you would like to talk about that we haven't spoken about yet, if you have anything new to say. I was going to talk about the scams of little thing about grandmothers, but before we get to that, I want you to speak about something.
Well, I just want people to realize that, you know, hopefully with a good crew and a start date in good weather, we will be displaced for only a short period of time. I'm really hoping that it's only 4 weeks, and if everything comes together and it becomes a perfect storm, then we'll be okay and back into the senior center fairly quickly.
Good.
Like I said, over the last 2 weeks since I heard this was going to be happening, I have reached out personally to every senior. We've spoken to them personally. We bring out flyers and talk about it. I've talked to every instructor because we have different groups that come to the senior centers. I've been able to talk about all those people that partake in the activities as well as those that come every day for socialization. And everybody has responded, oh, that's terrible, but we're getting a new roof, and it's going to be a good thing when you look at the big picture. You know?
Can I ask you something about
Yeah.
the roof, if I may?
Sure.
Are they going to strip the old one, or they're just going to put the new roof on top of the old one?
Well, from what I understand, there are quite a few layers on that roof. So there's going to be a lot of work to remove what is up there currently.
Oh, they're going to remove.
There's quite a few layers.
Wow.
And my understanding is that should there be no additional problems after they've already gone in and tested the roof and, you know, kind of have a good feel as to what it's going to take to repair it. And if they don't find any other things that are surprises, it should go fairly quickly, as long as the weather and the crews and everything works out well, you know.
Did you mention, and also, if I'm correct, that you were going to do some interior work inside the building?
I
itself?
don't want to talk about that right now because it's only a possibility.
Oh, okay.
I have a wish list. I can share that with you. One of my
Yeah.
things, the top thing on my wish list is, you know, the senior center is in need of a paint job, and I'm looking into the possibility of painting it while we're away, if I can coordinate it with a group of folks, and if I can afford the paint, because it's going to take quite a few gallons, I'd be happy to get the dining room painted. It really needs it, a lot of paint work, and so, you know, if it can be done. I can't guarantee that, but it would be
But
a
you
wonderful
would-
thing,
right.
because you know what would happen is when we do come back, we could have like a grand reopening.
That would be nice.
And if,
Wouldn't that be nice?
we walked into the dining room and it was newly painted and it was fresh, and we had the, you know, while no one's there, we can continue. We do the floors all the time with the machine and everything, but it would be sparkling. I like to keep this place clean. Chuck helps every day doing that, but with so much traffic, it gets in the weather. And seniors being seniors, you know, being a little bit unsteady and everything, things spill all the time, as you know. And I'm not trying to be negative, but it's the
No, it's-
reality of it. It's hard to keep it clean. And we only have Chuck and Salvatore Coriali, so I only have 2 part-time guys, and they do a wonderful job keeping the place clean and neat and up to speed. But it would be great walking into that dining room. If I could just get the dining room painted a beautiful color, it would be like a grand reopening, and we could really celebrate, you know?
Right. You know what I would like to see, Steve, if it's okay with you?
Oh, it is a surprise.
No surprise. No surprise. No.
The what?
The thing, when we come in from the back, especially in the winter time when it's
Yeah.
muddy, mucky and thing, we bring it right into the senior center,
Right,
all over
right.
that. And they have a little carpet there or a little rug.
Right.
Is there a chance we could get it made a little bigger maybe so people can...
Yeah, that's one of the, I mean, I told you I had an endless list, right?
Is that one of them?
That's one of them. It's not like the top priority, but I actually agree with you. It's kind of one. The one in the front has to be replaced as well, too.
Exactly.
I
Yep,
agree
okay,
totally
I
with
was
you.
talking about the back.
And to be honest with you, you know, the ideal thing would be to strip the whole first floor and re-wax it. But it really needs to be stripped, and it's hard to do that when you have people in every day, you know. So there's a lot of things that I'd like to do, and we'll get done. We've done a lot in the last 2 years, believe me.
Oh, yeah.
Just in the last year, we've done a lot. We have a brand new flat screen TV. We've had a new awning put on. We've had donated furniture. We have a new roof hatch. We had the Northeast Vocational School come in and do some work, as you know. We just got an ETP fund grant to have a new technology system put in for the staff to use, and I'm working with our IT department to coordinate that, and that's happening as we speak. So there's a lot of things going on.
That's good. That's good.
Very good.
Yeah.
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 So, you also, for the seniors who are listening to this show for the first time, and some of them are out there, or we might have new seniors that moved into the city since we had the last show.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, right now we have, like I said, 2 groups of seniors. We got those that come in mostly for the exercise and the health classes and the, you know, things, the dancing classes, the Zumba classes, and the other group of folks come in for the socialization, for lunch, for bingo, for movies, ceramics, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm putting it out there right now is we want to expand our senior center base. I want to become more diverse and invite other nationalities in as well. We've reached out to the Hispanic community, and we're reaching out to other groups that are in the city. I mean, Revere is a melting pot right now. There's 10,194 seniors, those over 60,
Wow.
that live in Revere as of the last census, which was 2010. I assume there's at least maybe 5,000 more at this point in time. It's the fastest growing segment in the country. You have 10,000 baby boomers retiring a day. I'm one of them. All right, and we have the largest population, if you break those over 60, the largest population in Massachusetts are those over 80 years old. People are living longer. People are working longer.
Right.
You know, and you know, it's tough to bring in new seniors or younger type seniors because they are working longer. They're babysitting, and a lot of them don't feel like they want to go to a senior center. And which leads me to one other point. Senior centers, as was established in Revere in 1998, you know, with this new senior center. I know there was other locations, but at the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center, you know, you had people that retired at 62, and most of the women whose husbands retired at 62 were homemakers, so they didn't work. That whole generation has been replaced by a generation that's working longer, you know, and seniors who are younger are involved in more active-like communities. So the model for most senior centers now is to be combined with a youth center and a veterans office so that you have a community center. And that's the wave of the future. And everybody, I've been to the Massachusetts Council on Aging conferences and have been part of their statewide delegation, and I'm on their advisory board. That's the wave of the future, is to create a community center, a one-stop shop. Then you have intergenerational experiences, which is really beneficial to both ends.
Right, now, while this renovation is going to be going on, I'm going to ask you, if a lot of people, and I was asked this, are they going to still be showing movies wherever you get the new location temporarily?
It all depends on a lot of factors. It has to, I mean, I don't know if we're going to have the availability of a flat screen TV to show and to bring our DVD player there. I mean, I really don't know at this point. I can't answer it. I wish I
So,
could.
for the person that
But-
asked me, you heard it from Steve.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. Once we get back to our senior center and with this ETP grant, I'm going to be getting a smart TV, which is going to be about 65 or 70, maybe 80 inches. It's going to be right on the same wall. It's going to be huge, and it's like a computer. And that is going to really be a draw for people to come and watch movies, because it's going to be a humongous difference between the one we have now, which is a 42-inch screen TV.
And then when are you going to be?
I can't give you a date on that. It
No, no,
depends.
it was going to be roughly what size?
Probably, I'd like to get as large as I can, depending on the funds and how I distribute the funds. But I'd like to get at least a 60-inch TV,
And it's going to be the new one out, like the
The-
K4?
a brand new one.
With
Brand
the
new.
latest, with the
most-
latest
it is-
technology then?
Yeah,
That'd be good.
yeah. So it'll be good.
And that smart TV that you're going to get, you're going to be able to talk to it too? Or you move it
If
with
it's
your
smart
finger?
enough, we will. We'll
He's
see.
ordered German, so you can talk to it.
And if he talks to you, you got to have a lot of answers.
Oh, my.
But we got 8 minutes here, so what I'd like to do, we got 8 minutes left, but I want to save at least 4 minutes for Steve Fielding to close the show at the end, and he's going to do the closing. So, Nick, if you could take just a minute and a half and talk about whatever you like, and we'll just go down the line, but we'll save him for the last to do the show, closing of the show.
Okay. I'm very much involved with bowling, so I bowl with a lot
Do you
of.
need any more bowlers?
We could always use more bowlers. Yes.
Well, have them call. Give
Yes.
them a number.
Yes. No. Well, we try to get them, but a
What
lot
kind of
of
balls? The small ones or the ones with the
candle
holes?
pins. Candle pins. No, the small
Small
ones.
ones.
Well,
Okay.
wait a minute. When you do the bowling down the regular, they're not the large balls?
No, the small
Oh,
ones.
okay, candle pins.
Candle pins.
Oh,
Not
okay.
10
I
pin.
misunderstood that.
Yes,
Go ahead.
candle pin.
Thank you, Nick.
And we have quite a few bowling. And like I said, I bowl 3 times a week. So I do meet a lot of people. And I bowl in Lynn twice and Winthrop once. In fact, I have to bowl tonight in Winthrop. So I'm glad I'm resting.
Are you looking for more people?
Well, we can always use more people, really. Always use more people.
So did they call you or they called the senior center?
No, they talk to me. But they should probably
They
call.
could call the senior center. We could
Yeah.
relay the messages
Oh,
to,
yeah.
to Nick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Give them a number for, what's the number of the senior center? I think I forgot it.
781-286-8156.
There you go,
Very
Nick. Now
good.
we can get
Okay.
you more people to bowl.
right.
Okay, that would be fine.
Thank you. Really.
And who's that gentleman on your right?
Uh-oh. Well,
Paul.
Yes. What was the question? I forget.
You got a minute and a half to talk about whatever you like.
Really?
A
Well,
minute and a half.
all right.
Uh-oh.
Unfortunately, I'm going to actually pick Morris to talk about, because since I've been in the senior center, he does one thing which I approve, because anybody that does anything for veterans, I go along with it. He has a great big jar. He accepts donations. He makes sure that we send packages overseas to the people that are in harm's way. I happen to have my oldest grandson is an E5 in the Air Force, and he's currently 4 hours south of Seoul, Korea. He's in Kaesong, Korea. And I'm waiting until February to see him. I can't wait until I get my arms wrapped around that
What's his
young
name,
man.
by the way?
His name is Brad Metzger. And what he does is he loads armament on F-15s, F-16s, and A-10 platforms. Now, you know, and that's Air Force talk. I don't know how many Air Force people we have here, but basically, these are out there today. That's what they're doing. And he puts armament, he puts the bombs and the missiles and the stuff, and you know, and let's face it, nobody wants to do anything. But right now we've got this thing happening in France. We've got
I know.
all of this stuff, and what are we doing for the United States? What are we doing to
Hello.
control the internal stuff that's going on? You know, and let's face it, they're threatening the White House. They're New York, Times Square, and what's happening in France, and what's going on. It's, you know, I don't know. It just scares me because there's a lot of unrest in this world, and I certainly hope that we can take care of it.
Thank you. Brad Metzger, if you're listening out there and you'll see this on YouTube, thank you for your service, young man. Thank you. Go ahead.
I want to ask Steve. Nobody seems to be interested in the pool, do they?
Oh, the pool table
Yeah.
up in the, no. I know that was purchased by the previous director, and there just hasn't been enough interest in that. And what I have done is contact Mike Hinojosa at the Revere Recreation Department and offered him that pool table to use for the youth in the city. I think it would be better use. I'd rather have it used by young people than sitting up in a room, and it's just a matter of coordinating with him to move it over there.
Right. Before I turn the show over to you, Steve, to do the closing and to repeat what you started at the beginning of the show, I want to thank you, Nick, for coming on. Thank you. Paul,
welcome.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Chucky, thank you. And Steve, we got about 3.5 minutes. It's your show to finish.
And thank you for all you do at the Senior Center. I don't want
Thank
to
you.
forget that. You
Thank
do
you.
wonderful work, and it's not work to you. The Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center roof will be undergoing a complete renovation that will result in a brand new roof. The roof work will begin the first week of December, which begins Monday, November 30th, and continue through mid to late January. A specific end date is undetermined at this time. This roof work means that the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center will be closed to seniors and the general public due to safety and facility issues. Effective Monday, November 30th, the Senior Center will be relocating to another building. I will inform you of this temporary location once this site is confirmed and all the logistics are finalized. We will only be able to offer a modified meals program, and we will also continue our shuttle service. Be aware that during this time period, the staff and I will do our best to ensure that we provide you with as much information as possible. As I said, we will continue the shuttle van service to and from this temporary building, as well as to and from the outside appointments that you usually use. All the programs, activities, and services will be suspended until we return to the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center. If you participate in one of the health and exercise programs, you know that we have already spoken, and that the teachers that and the instructors that you have for your classes teach in surrounding Senior Center locations and will be available during this time. Again, a modified meals program will be available. Any updates, notifications, and information regarding this roof work and our return and where we will be housed will be available through Revere TV, the Revere Journal, the Revere Advocate, the upcoming January newsletter, the Elder Affairs Department page on revere.org, as well as through word-of-mouth flyers and other communications. The roof work is a result of the current mayoral administration and our state delegation securing special legislation, allowing funds to become available that will improve our quality of life and the environment at the Rossetti-Cowan Senior Center. I also want to give a shout out to Priscilla Nickerson, who was on the Revere Moving Forward committee, which was an updated transition committee of the Rizzo administration. She was very instrumental in helping to secure funds that are going towards that roof.
Close the show.
So in closing, I have about 57 seconds here. I want to thank everybody. I encourage you to go to the Senior Center, even the temporary location when it's announced. You will love the people. It's a very safe, welcoming, fun environment. We have a lot of fun. I have to acknowledge the staff that we have. We have a great staff. We are passionately involved in senior services. We love being with the seniors. You know, it's a human services department in essence, but we do become very entwined in their everyday lives. We know more about them than their children, most likely. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. But we truly want to provide the best services we can to seniors, and we just hope that we can get back to our building in time for our February party. So I just want to say, God bless you, veterans. God bless America. God bless Revere.
Thank you.
And God bless Revere TV for giving us this exposure, right?
Right on. Thank you.